So I am sharing my screen. Within 1 or 2 minutes, it will be visible to all of you. So my PPT is the visual to all of you.
Yeah, yes, it is visible.
Yeah. Okay. Yesterday we are the discuss about the shrinking biodiversity. What is the reason why it is the shrinking? But today we will be discuss about the traditional agrodiversity management in a central Himalayan village ecosystem. We are the taken to the case
अंकुर
study.
साहब आपकी वीडियो ऑन नहीं है। वीडियो दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है।
वीडियो ऑन है सर।
नाउ इट इज ओके।
Yeah. Okay. So today we will be discuss about the traditional practices, how they are the evolved the villagers over the thousands of the years. So in this scenario, we are taken to the this study. We are the already discuss about this central Himalayan village ecosystem, but today the some new participants may be the join. So this is the map of the Indian Himalayan state, which is the cover from the Jammu and Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, and the northeastern region. And our Himalayan region is categorized by the undiluted terrains, sparse human population, small and the fragmented land holding sizes, rain-fed subsisted agriculture, low input, low output production system, women-centric agriculture, fragile ecosystem, low risk-bearing capacity of the farmer, east aid to the reach for the plants, animal, and microdiversity. So it is the characterizations of the Himalayan ecosystem, and it is the prone for the terrain for the disaster. As we know, everyone is aware about this, the Indian plate, which is the continuously going toward the Eurasian plate and the continuously heat, then it will be the push to the this Eurasian plate, and in sequentially this will be the happening the continuously collision to the Tibetan plate, and it will be the rise, folding, and thrusting. So these Himalayan prone is the highly prone for the earthquake. So entire village ecosystem is the facing the problem of the landslide, which is the happening due to the earthquake and the sometime. Nowadays, we are the also constructing the several roads and markets, so it will be the cutting of the mountains. So it will be the very common the landslide into the Uttarakhand and the other state. But today we will be discuss about the case study of the Uttarakhand. So traditional agrodiversity management is the mostly man-made ecological system. Each and every step will be discussed by the and the by the human being, but in the natural ecosystem, it is the governed by the nature. Man-made ecosystem, flowing is the done by the human being, seed is the provided by the human being, insecticide, pesticide, all the things is the provided by the human being. Even the after the maturation of the crop will be harvested by the human being. So with various ecological factors, which will be the different agriculture practices, different type of the land use pattern, village farming, that is the including the animal husbandry, domesticated subsystem, and the forest ecosystem, which help to the conservation and the risk reduction in the agro ecosystem of the Himalayas. So environmental, biological, and the socio-culture and economical status, which is the more, and they are developed to the traditional ecosystem, which is the crop and the livestock. Indigenous ecosystem is the highly the site specific. It will be the differ from the one side to another side. For example, I am taken to the there is the four crop over the 2 years. There is the sometime it will be the differ with the various type of the crop rotation. So it will be differ because there is a different type of the cultivations and agronomic requirement and environmental condition. So it will be vary with the place to place. So in the Uttarakhand is basically the two type of the agriculture system: irrigated flat land where they are taken to the two crop in the every year without the fallow period. But another is the maximum is dependent upon the rain-fed condition. If the cropping sequence is the presumed starting after the winter and the fallow period, then it will be the first Kharif season, which also called the first crop season. First Rabi season is the second crop season. Second Kharif season is called third crop season. And fourth one is the fourth Rabi season is the fourth crop. So we will discuss about it. An entire village is divided into the two parts, and locally they are called the SAR system. So for example, it is the area of the village. So it will be divided into the two parts. One, and each part is called this one. One part is called Mulasari, another part is called Malasari. It is a division entire, and every farmer is some land is here and same piece is here. So each farmer is having land in both the area, Mulasari and Malasari. And this is the crop season. It will be the start from the April. So you can see here in the first crop season, each farmer is growing paddy, barnyard millet, pigeon wheat, kisam, and foxtail millet. Similarly, in the third crop season, which is and another part, they are growing the finger millet and the legumes. And the first year and second year, same thing is the second crop season. You can see here the mustard, wheat, and the barley. And second is the fallow period. And after the first year, again the first cropping season will be here. Then you can see this. So every year, every farmer is having all type of the crop production in their own field and harvested, and then after that it will be bring to the home. So this type of the division and the cropping pattern you can see into the rain-fed condition, and which is the helpful for the climatic condition. If there is the drought condition, then finger millet will be grown. If there is the maximum rain, then legume will be grown. Similarly, here is the paddy, which is the required the maximum rain. But if the rain is not occur, then another pigeon pea and this will be grown into this field, because there is no irrigation facility. So entire system will be developed and totally depend upon the rain-fed conditions. And our study is the focus how they are it is scientifically fit, because it will be the traditional ecosystem. So we are done near about the 25 years of the research experience in the particular area in the different aspects. I will show the few of our findings today and share with you. So because all the farmers in terms of the food, medicinal, socio-cultural, and the religious participants, they are the growing the crop, and our analysis, we are the analyze the input and output in terms of the energy and economical efficiency. We concerned about the highlight, the issue, decline of the agrobiodiversity technology harvesting concern, and priority to the sustainable agriculture in the central Himalayas. So this will be, so firstly, we are taken to the one village where the total household is the 140, and the survey is collected with the information with the small landholding sizes. It is started into the 2002. On the basis of the survey, the 7 type of the land use is identified: home garden, settled rain-fed agriculture, settled irrigated agriculture, permanent abandoned fallow land, pine forest, oak forest, and scrub land. We are done the biodiversity above and below ground biodiversity both. In the above ground biodiversity, we are considering the plants, and below ground biodiversity, we are basically consider the soil biota, earthworm, nematode, ants, and termites, and microbial diversity and rhizobium. So we are to discuss input and output and the individual crop system in the each ecosystem, and attribute in the different ecosystem type and the seasonal on the basis of the annual basis. So input we are given to the manure, which is in form of the farmyard manure, which is the making we are the already discussed in the yesterday, because the entire village is the farming manures and oats. They are going for the organic fertilizers. They are not using the inorganic fertilizers, that is the single super phosphate, urea, or muriate of the potash. So, and basically the land is deploying with the full cock power, and human labor is the major, and the seed. Seed is the traditional land races, and output, the crop were they harvested at the maturity, then they separated into the edible part, fodder part, and left over root plus the 15 centimeter stubble, and the component is dry and the 65 degrees centigrade, and input output analysis. So when we are doing this one, this is the land use size of the Langasu village, Utro. So this is the area where the total land and this. So you can say the maximum rain fed area in comparison to their irrigated one. So when we are the analysis, you can see here, it is the paddy in the monoculture, and it is the mixed culture. So biomass production is the high into the mixed cultivation in comparison to the monoculture. It is a different part. This is the grain, this is the straw, this is the leftover biomass. Similarly, the different type of the crop season, which is the paddy, vineyard, millet, and this. Similarly, you can see here the fourth one, the paddy and the black gram. This one, it will be again the high in comparison to this. So, and biomass production, you can see the much more high. They are the considering the fodder portion. So fodder portion is the much more high. But nowadays, when we are the providing the high yield varieties, we are the most focused on the only the grain, which is this one, not for the straw and this one. So this is the about the contribution of the various total crop biomass. Similarly, proportion of the human labor. As we are the saying in the previous, it is the women centric. So you can see here, we are the our analysis is the research and the scientifically. The female is the female centric. Why we are the saying the women centric or the female centric? Because the most of the activities is done by the women. This is this one. This is the female and this is the male. Male is the only the activated only the two time. One is the flowing and another is the harvesting time. Rest of the all the activities is done by the female. So we can say the traditional agro ecosystem of the central Himalayas is the women centric. And these all are the published data. You can, if you want to the literature, Dr. I will share with you this paper with the Dr. Sarad, and you can also collect from there. There is no problem. Otherwise, it is also available into the internet. There is no problem. So contribution of the monetary benefit. It is the monetary when we are the calculating. Then we can also see it is the highest in case of the mixed cultivation in conversion monoculture. We are also calculated the energy input output individual crop and this one. So when we are the calculated this one, you can see the highest in case of the mixed cropping in comparison to the monoculture in the both the cases. So it is the saying that when we are going with the absolute and the relative value, then it will be goes mixed cropping, the traditional agrobiodiversity management of the central Himalayas, the scientific manner when we are just thinking. They are providing the farmyard manure, which is the 30 kg per hectare. When we are the compare with monetary input, then it will be the also growing, and you can see the input output ratio is the high. So you can see on the basis of the economic yield, it is the more than the 100. But when we are the compare in the irrigated one, then it will be the negative impact. It means our output on the basis of the economical, it will be lost. But in case of the biological, when we are the compare entire the biological biomass, then it will be the beneficial in all the cases. But in the Rabi, in the same cases, in these two cases, it will be the negative on the basis of the economical income. That's why the farmer living to the traditional agrobiodiversity cultivation and move to the annual. Because nowadays there is no space for the cattle and all things will be shifted from the farmyard manure to the organic farming. So it is, but when we are the compare with the entire biological yield, then it will be the beneficial in all the cases you can see. So another impact for the analysis of this one, the impact of the farmyard manure on the cropping system of the rain-fed ecosystem in the central Himalayas. Initially, they are the providing the 30 kg. So we are the tested into the 3 in the 0, where we are not providing to the any type of the input farmyard treatment. And another is just half, near about the half of the 30 and just the double dose. So when we are the comparing over the all the cropping season, it will be started from the April and it will be this. So it will be, you can see it is continuously increasing the root biomass, but in the maximum in the case of here, the 30 kg. So fruit and the grain is the increasing in the 30 kg. So in the both the cases, when we are the comparing, but it will be the not statically benefit the grain. So it will be the wastage, and traditionally they are using the 30 kg per hectare. It will be the suitable, but when we are the compare with the another parameter, that is the climate change or the soil organic carbon, which we are the already discussed yesterday, and the 5% and this. So we can see it will be beneficial when we are the using the maximum farmyard manure treatment, then it will be goes high. We are the compare these things with our study with the carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, calcium, and magnesium. So in this case, it will be the continuously increasing. And when we are the compare with this over the 3 years, the soil organic carbon, then it will be the changing from here to here, the positive to negative. But in case of the 30 and the 60 kg, it will be the going always into the positive direction in the both the cases. But in the case of the when we are the given to the limited no input, then it will be the negative in the organic carbon, negative into the total carbon, total phosphorus, and after that, if you are not given to the supplement, then after the some time the land will be barren and will not given to the fertile and this. And 60 kg is also the negative impact, except is here. But when we are using the 30 kg farmyard manure, so it will be the positive in all the case, but here is the nitrogen is the negative. So there is the no, because the nitrogen is already abundant into the atmosphere, and it is the this Mulasari is the just after the fallow period, so it will be no impact. But in the 60 kg, you can see all the things with the positive. So if we are the going with 30 kg of the farmyard manure in the crop season, that it will be the good. So this study is the farmyard input, not only the increase the productivity and the profitability, but also the sustainable increase the carbon start servicing in the global community in terms of the climate change mitigation. Another study is happening into the same places for the soil organic carbon, which is the seeing the what type of the soil carbon when we are the given to the maximum input to the soil in the particular, because when we are the provide the just double the 60 kg per hectare, then we are the just given to the extra efforts to the particular place. So this result is said the type of the high altitude of the central Himalayas may be considered as the potential sink for the sequestration of the atmospheric carbon, and which will be the help to the reduce the global climate change. As we are discussed in the previous class studied with this one, the 5% this organic matter, which is the coming only after the death and decay of the plants and the animal, and this 40% is the coming from the weathering of the rock, and remaining 25% is the air and 25% the water. Whenever the binding force of the air and water is the increase the binding force of the soil, then soil will be start to the erode. And soil is also having the several microbes. You can see here, and these microbes is also having the respiration. The soil respiration, if there is no green cover, green layer, green vegetation, then the nematodes, decomposition, they are all the organisms, they are taken carbon dioxide, oxygen and release the carbon dioxide. This is also called the soil respiration. And plants, as yesterday I also discussed, the plant only taken the atmospheric carbon dioxide and liberate the carbon oxygen, and rest of the material is take from the root. So when the leaf and converted into the carbohydrate after the litter decomposition, it will be decomposed and returned back to the soil. So it will be preserved in the form. This is also known as the carbon sequestration. So this is the basic carbon cycle, the organic matter, which is after that it will be coming and the respiration from here to here, it will be returned back. Apart from the ocean, the fossil fuel, this one. So here you can see this diagram, you can see the organic matter. It will be the soil, and fossil fuel is the here, is the store. We are taken to the fossil fuel and bring to the ground and oxidation, then it will go to the atmosphere. It will be take several years to the decompose and make this decomposition. So biomass is the having this turn when it will be returned back to the soil. Soil is a different layer, which is called the profile, and once by once it will be deposited and finally reaches to the here. So there is several liable pool and intermediate pool and stable pool. There is the three layers of the soil profile and soil organic carbon available into the literature. Liable pool, which is the chemically degradable and physically accessible for the microorganism. But when it is converted into the stable food, it is chemically degradable but not physically inaccessible to the microorganism. Microorganism cannot be used this soil carbon. The factor determining to this one, the including the aggregate and the clay particle, biomechanism, biochemically resistance. So you can see as I discussed the horizon, A horizon, B horizon, and this one. So this is the picture and this is the soil profile. So what will be happen when the organic carbon is absorbed by the soil and the mineral by the surface in the stable pool, then consider the inaccessible to the microbial community and turn into the persist and no longer time for the soil. But when the proportion is the stable, the carbon, mineral, and bound carbon, then it will be the greater and deeper to the surface, then it will be not accessible and not returned back to the atmosphere by the nematodes, earthworm, and microorganisms. So here is the uh, here is the one video. I think it will be the working.
If you were asked to picture the world's largest treasure, you might imagine a large vault filled with chests of jewels and gold. But the world's largest and possibly most important treasure is buried right beneath our feet. Soil holds massive amounts of organic matter, which increases its ability to store and use the nutrients essential for plant growth. Soil organic matter also increases soil porosity, allowing it to store enough water and air for plant roots. This means soil organic matter forms the basis of soil health and fertility, and so food production. But it carries out another crucial function. It captures carbon from the atmosphere as soil organic carbon. Plants fix organic carbon in soils through debris, roots, and roots. Soil farming break down these residues into soil organic matter. Some of this organic organic matter remains as soil organic carbon. Some is naturally released into the atmosphere as carbon dioxide. It is when we lose soil organic matter through human activities that we face problems. The degradation of one-third of the world's soils has already released yet an estimated 1,417 gigatons remain in the first meter of soil across the globe, almost double the carbon in our atmosphere, and dozens of times the levels of man-made emissions each year. It is clear that losing the soil carbon treasure would increase carbon emissions and accelerate climate change. But we can do something about it. Many physical and biochemical mechanisms protect soil organic matter from decomposition. Soil management practices influence these mechanisms and can bring carbon gains or losses. Since soil organic carbon is highly dynamic, we need to find innovative ways to sequester more carbon by adapting strategies to local conditions. We also need to monitor and report changes in soil organic carbon. And we need to maintain soil organic carbon stocks in vulnerable hotspots. Peatlands, permafrost soils, and black soils are particularly prone to carbon losses. Grasslands store more than double the amount of carbon in all other agricultural areas. Drylands are important because although they have low carbon content per square meter, they cover a large surface area. Scientists have already demonstrated the many sustainable soil management practices that can preserve and boost soil organic carbon. Governments now need to support land users to implement them. This is a huge task, but an even bigger opportunity. We can enhance resilience to extreme events. We can restore soil fertility to provide cleaner water and nutritious food, and preserve terrestrial biodiversity. And by rehabilitating the world's degraded soils, we can remove up to 51 gigatons of carbon from the atmosphere. There can be no doubt that joining forces to protect and increase the stocks in the soil organic carbon treasure represents a sound investment in fighting the most challenging environmental issue of our time, our changing climate. Soil organic carbon. Unlocking the potential, mitigating and adapting to a changing climate.
So we are thankful to the Food and the Agriculture Organization and the Netherlands Organization and for this. So here is the same thing is done this file sampling with my students in the different locations where we are the collected. These are the few pictures for the liters, and after that we are using this from the Delhi and as well as the Uttarakhand and collected the soil samples, which is with my co-workers. So, and response to this, the soil organic carbon, nitrogen, microbial activities, the bacterial communities, the composition of the grain. We are the also work on this, and it is the picture of the our study site where we can this one. This is the rain-fed agriculture. You can see study we are discussed about the terrace system of the agriculture. It is the totally depend upon the rain-fed, the water what will be the coming. It will be the coming into this direction and the flow. It will be the, this one, and this is the pit containing the farmyard manure. Whatever they are the dump, and after that it will be the putting into the this according to this 15, 30, and the 60 kg, and it is the digital map at the same time. You can see it will be the variation in the different altitudes, and it will be near about the 950 meters, and mixed cover is this only the 22 meters. So it will be size map and the pasture land, which is the highest in this one. So it will be basically it is this study is showing that when we are using the 30 kg and the 60 kg, it will be the positive impact and agro biodiversity is sustained because it will be the totally depend upon the CN value. When the CN value is the more than the 34 and 90, then it will be soil fertility and it will be grow and this one. Similarly, in the microbial activities is also the 60 to 122%. It will be the also the good because the microbial community, specifically when we are talking about the rhizobium, rhizobium is the native species. If it is available, then it is a start to the no dilution. There is no inoculation is required. There is no extra cost to the farmer. Nodulation is the already done by the nature. The microbial rhizobium is already present into the soil, so it will be enter into the body of this, and then it will be utilized. So there is no extra cost on the farmer, so it will be sustain the farming system. So it will be the very use, and because the most of the our agriculture land is the very poor quality of the agriculture land because in the Himalayas they are the totally barren and it will be the only newly formed soil profile. There is not the very depth. It will be the easily hardly somewhere is the land is the hardly it will be the 1 meter or 60 centimeter. After that, it will be the room. So agriculture cultivation only limited up to the 2 centimeter. So there is no groundwater and totally depend upon the rainwater. So it is the worst about the soil erosion. So it is about this soil erosion. So we need to the store the soil profile and this. And here is the some pictures which we are the collected after this rain-fed agriculture. Uh, this is the picture you can see here. These are the picture which is collected after the Kedarnath tragedy. So lot of the soil and the landslide when there is no land. So you can see the when we are the making so entire the soil is fragile and it will be going and dumping into the aquatic ecosystem. Then it will be the totally top from the bottom. It will be the coming and you can see it will be the totally destroy from top to the bottom and then it will be going down. So entire vegetation which are the present here, it will be the totally lost and the because the soil is one of the natural resource. Without this, our agro biodiversity cannot be sustained. So it will be very difficult and this. So what we are doing in this direction, it is the development or away from the development, it will be the matter for the thinking. So when it is the dumping from top to the bottom, then it will be the totally coming in and disturb all the terrestrial as well as all the ecosystem. So it will be the very difficult to understand. Then it will be coming down. Then you can see the pictures. Then this. And this is the stone which is the coming backside of the Kedarnath temple, which is diverted our water into the two direction and save the temple. So ethical point of view, the human is the worship for the land, the stone and everything. They are the worship. This stone is also. So it will be the good thing. The and after that, all the construction is happening destroyed, and now they are developing. It is just after the 6 month next season because it will be the 13 June 13 and this picture is the June 14. So it will be the happening this thing. And these are the some another picture from the Uttarakhand in the Kedarnath Valley and maybe this one. So there we are also developed the rural technology park where we are given to the structures and after that rural development program. So in spite of this difficulties of the earthquake prone area, lifestyle is going on into the particular in this region. and this is the terrace farming, and this is the technology which is the enter into the areas. This is the low cost polyhouse, and this is the net house. And just I said, with the help of the GV Pant Institute of Himalayan Environment and Development, we are making there the rural technology park, where we are given to the training for the vermicomposting, biocompost pit, and low harvesting water harvesting tank. So farmer can harvest the water and utilize after the rainy season. So these are the basic, and this training center is developed with the help of the UNEP TSBS program, and this one, the one of the map, which is the old map. That time there is no GIS, remote sensing. So this is the printed on the paper, and it is the very old from the year 1930-31 during the British period. So you can see the all the things is the manually, all contour are the made by the human being. So it will be great difficult. Nowadays we are using the these things, so it will be the easy for us. So this is the indicator and the conservation for the traditional biodiversity in the central Himalayas, biomass production, energy and the monetary balancing, soil and land quality indicators, crop rotation, threat to the erosion of the biodiversity, socio-economic perspectives, religious perspective, traditional recipe prepared, medicinal use, and ecological and policy related issues. So with this word, you can also think about it, what we are doing and what is the things. So I stop my sharing presentation. Any question or anything you can ask me.
डॉक्टर इटा रिकॉर्डिंग बंद कर देना। डॉक्टर इटा रिकॉर्डिंग बंद कर देना और लर्नर्स